Brennan calls Trump disgraced demagogue, Rand Paul shuts him up with 3 words. The spooky former CIA Director John Brennan called President Donald Trump a disgraced demagogue after Andrew McCabe was fired from the FBI for being a corrupt deep state hack. But, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul shut him up with just 3 words. Whatever happened to the good old days when our country's intelligence agency and law enforcement directors were apolitical Boy Scouts? The war between President Donald Trump and the deep state has forever changed the way we look at guys like John Brennan, James Comey, and Andrew McCabe. Instead of associating their names with honor or service to the American people, we now see these men for what they truly are, political deviants. Andrew McCabe's recent firing from the FBI opened the floodgates of deep state outrage. Judging from the visceral threats and warnings aimed at Trump over the last several days, it's clearly evident that McCabe was a casualty that the enemy could not suffer in silence. Former CIA Director John Brennan was one of those who crawled out of the shadows to hiss at our president over Twitter. In a fiery and resentful tweet, Brennan wrote, "When the full extent of your venality, moral turpitude, and political corruption becomes known, you will take your rightful place as a disgraced demagogue in the dustbin of history. You may scapegoat Andy McCabe, but you will not destroy America. America will triumph over you." Without any knowledge of Brennan's track record, one might think this guy has some patriotic leanings. Unfortunately, the ugly truth of Brennan's own past is far too sinister and anti-American to just fade into obscurity. Thankfully, Senator Rand Paul, RK, is well aware of Brennan's true nature and responded to his Trump bashing with 3 words Brennan hates. This man had the power to search every American's records without a warrant. What's disgraceful is attacking the Bill of Rights and the freedom of every American, Paul wrote. Paul's tremendous dislike for Brennan is well placed and goes back years according to Fox News. In 2013, he staged an epic, 13-hour filibuster on the Senate floor to block former President Barack Obama's nomination of Brennan to become the new CIA director. To his credit, Paul demanded that Brennan answer questions in regards to whether the administration would execute a drone strike on an American on U.S. soil. A year and a half after Brennan was confirmed as Obama's CIA chief, Paul joined both Republicans and Democrats in calling for Brennan's dismissal after it was discovered that the CIA had been spying on Senate Intelligence Committee staffers. When it comes to deep state corruption, Brennan is one of the worst. According to the Washington Free Beacon, Brennan admitted to having voted for the Communist Party's presidential candidate in 1976 and called it an indiscretion later on. It's a shame that a man like Brennan was ever allowed to serve in the ranks of the CIA or become the leader of that agency. It's pretty sickening that Brennan is only one of the former Obama government officials who has come out to attack Trump over McCabe firing. One thing all the haters should keep in mind is that McCabe was fired for something unrelated to Trump and having to do with his handling of the FBI's Hillary Clinton investigation. Brennan and others are using McCabe's dismissal as an opportunity to score political points and incite more anger among liberals toward Trump's administration. After all, undermining President Trump has been the plan for the deep state since his inauguration. This recent attack is just more proof of how far off track we have gotten as a country and how desperately we needed a leader like President Donald Trump to drain the swamp of guys like John Brennan. In my opinion, Andrew McCabe has a lot more to worry about than losing his job. The Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz will be completing his investigation into the DOJ and the FBI soon, and things are just going to get uglier for a lot of former President Barack Obama's tools. This cleansing of corrupt individuals from our government is long overdue, and Senator Rand Paul deserves some appreciation for not being afraid to put the smack down on hacks like John Brennan.